Yo, hello everyone. This is Brainiac FX on a new session for you guys on inducements and entries. Right, there are basically three rules to trading using inducement. Right, we have a lot of smart money traders out there. Yeah, people are doing farm smart money, and also you have to understand that the market moves to an area of liquidity. So, what liquidity? Anywhere there are a lot of positions sitting down, there are a lot of volumes in that level. Price seems to go into the zones, right? So, now let's go straight into what inducement is. If you are a new trader, this video is for you. Now, if you are an old subscriber, you should have seen that I've made a lot of sessions on inducement and manipulations. Go through the content and you will see them right there. So for new traders who are actually uh, looking for what inducement is, a lot of traders has been asking, what's inducement? How do you trade inducement? Yeah, this is for you to know what inducement is. I won't take much of your time so that you can go over and over again to the video if you feel you have to watch it again, right? Basically, inducement is an attraction in price, right? Either for the buyers or for the sellers. Inducement basically attracts you into getting into an early positions, right? So, and in terms of smart money traders, inducement is necessary for us to get an entry as well. So it's a type of entry we use within my mentorship as well to get an entry. It's not the only entry we have. We have three type of entry. Inducement is also part of the entry model we use as well. So which is also giving you a very good win rates in the trading. Now let's go into the concept of inducement. Now in smart money trading, one of the things I noticed trader look at them for is chalk or a change of character is what we call chalk, which is a temporary change in trend, right? So if we are looking at reversal trade within our point of interest, let's assume this whole formation schematics is within our point of interest. So what traders want to see is they want to see stop points and they want to see chalk. Now, if they are looking for a change of character, they ideally want to get involved in the leg that led to that break of structure, which is something we have like this. If we have market trading lower and we see a change of character to the upside and market start to trade higher, now ideally, a lot of traders want to get involved in the other block that led to the recent break of structure to the upside. Now we have the stop points, right? We have a change of character, we have a break of structure. Traders ideally want to get involved in this leg, right? So we know that we have a lot of smart money traders that want to get involved in this leg to go to the upside. So this is where we use the context of inducement. So what are the rules that guide us to use this as inducement? Provided that this last leg has an imbalance to the field. So even on the lower time frame, we prefer to use this on the lower time frame. So within 15 minutes or 5 minutes or 3 minutes, it's all works fine, right? So basically, the inducement comes in here when traders are looking to take a lot of positions from your recent order block. So these are recent order blocks here, which traders are looking to take a positions from. So ideally, we know that price can come back into this low if there's an imbalance below it to really come into our level. So all traders who are looking to take an entry here, when you're able to get involved in trade there, that's when we understand that yes, of course you want to get involved in trade there and you stop with the recent order block. So ideally, when we are looking for engagement so that we don't get stopped out. Now this happens when the traders start to look for this kind of trade and they get stopped out with their positions, right? There are so many reasons why we won't want to get involved. So number one is if we have an imbalance below our price actions, and if the move we have right there was not really coming off any levels, right? Let's assume that the move we actually have that was pushing to the upside was basically coming from an area that has no impact on price. Let's say market just came off a level that we can't really see even when we land down into lower time frame. So we assume that this zone is an inducement because now price is coming off a level we really do not see any positions in. We don't see any proportion block, no breaker block, no fair value gap. So when we see this kind of entry rejections, we know that potentially this is a level of inducement. So we won't want to get involved in this kind of trade. And when you get involved in this kind of trade, price can trick you out of the position, tap into your extreme order block with imbalance and start to generate price to the upside. So which is a case study of how inducement works. So inducement is going to use you as a driving factor, which is going to be liquidity to actually move price in any direction. So there are three different modes of inducement. It can be your trend line inducement, it might be your pattern inducement, it might be your order block inducement, whichever one you fall into, right? This particular one is another block inducement in price, right? So another one I will have to talk about is a continuation type of inducement, right? So basically, it's also a same context to to what we have as reversal trade. But then in continuation trade, we want to trade the trend of the market. Let's for each chance the market is selling, we want to continue the market sell potentials. Now, if you look at this structure quite well, you would see that we have this low right here, right? We have basically this low right here. And market has started to trade lower and see it close below that structure view. So once we have it close below that structure view, we have a breakout block. So this breakout block is also a form of inducement in price because a lot of smart money traders are looking at this breakout block and they are deciding to sell off the breakout block to go in the sell. So we saw this first reaction of the breakout block as inducement, and while we wait for that to go on, we assume that price is going to come back into our point of interest for itself. Now, this is a continuation trade. It can be bullish, it can be bearish. When we invert our case here, we are going to have the same context, right? So this becomes a bearish trade, this becomes a bullish trade. So same context to either we are buying or we're selling. So that is how we look at the concept of inducement uh in terms of technical or in terms of a smart money style of trading, right? So having said all that, let's go straight to the chart because I did says we are not going to waste your time, right? These sessions, right? If you want more knowledge on inducement, there are a lot of my videos that are talking about inducement and manipulation. Now, this first entry here is because we know that yes, there's another block. Now, there are a lot of traders who saw this reaction right there and they said to themselves, yes, we have a rejection. Now, let me start to go into long short positions. They start to have their short positions, then what happened? Market take them out and tap into the true other block of imbalances, then go lower. Now, there are rules, which I said there are 3 rules to trading using inducement. The first one you want to see a stop hunt inside your PY, you want to see change of character, and you want to see a market react off an unknown zones, which is not neither another block zones, neither a proportion block, neither a breaker block, or neither an imbalance. You just see price just take a trade off that level, which you can't even confirm on lower time frame. The market can come back into that zones of extreme POI and use your previous order block, which we have right there as inducement. Now let's go straight into the chart to explain what all this is all about. Now, here is the chart level, just like the one I've explained to you lower right there. You would see that right here, we have the concept of inducement. The first one you can see is that we trade higher above this level, right? You can see that we trade higher above this level. Now, this is our low high right there that led to this low, right? That led to basically this low, right? And this low that you can see right there led to all this high. So ideally, a lot of traders will be looking at these zones as a level of order block to get involved in the trade. Now, potentially, what you can see here is where we have our first chop in the market. Now, which is literally from this low, right, and this high. So we break above this high that you can see right there. We went above this high, and you see price starting to trade higher. So we created a level of inducement, and price came to take any traders who are particularly trading this inducement as your recent order block, or you are taking this one as your recent order block. This one that you can see here is also an inducement into your extreme POI. Price came in to take that inducement out and tap into the true POI. So if you are a trader who had used your entry right there and your stop below right there, now you have been induced into the market. Also, if you're a trader that uses this other block right there, you have the first entry, you're in profit. What did you see? Price came back again to take you out and tap into the people who actually understand the concept of inducement, using inducement as entry as well. So again, this is the first example I'm going to give you, and we are going to go into more examples so that you can see everything happening, same thing over and over and over again, right? So let's go to another example of inducement so that you can understand the context to your satisfaction. Now, another example of inducement is pretty much what we have here. We basically have this low that was created. We have this high, price traded higher. We created an inducement, right? We did create an inducement right here. So another example is this one. We created this low and this high, and we created an inducement. Price did come into the inducement right there, and we started to trade lower. So if you are a trader that trade this other block and you want to get involved in this other block, what happens to you gets smashed up the trade. Now take a look at this again in a very good context or good view. We would see this, right? We would see that we created this other block which serves as an inducement. So if you are trading this order block because you can see price traded above the previous structural high and you start to trade this, what happens? Look at this, right? You get tapped in and eventually your stop is going to be below this order block. Yeah, what did you see? It tapped you out and price go bullish, right? So take a look what you would have done in this case. You would have taken this order block as an inducement to your point of entry. You can see this one right there. If you go to the lower time frame, you will be able to refine this week to a demand week on lower time, which is within order block. Look at this now. Price came into the week and use this other block that you can see. Obvious, right? As inducement, right? You can see same thing happen over and over again right there. Take a look at this, right? Inducement and take a look at this. Inducement tapped in, price goes in your favor. Now take a look at the trade I took, similar context, right? So we created the week right there. I took this trade sometimes last week, right? Take a look at this trade right there. What did I use? The context of inducement, right? Price created a week before the last week. So this week you can see here was used as an inducement to the true PY. Now that's another case study. I'll show you another one right there, which is used for inducement. Now you can see we created an inducement right there. We tap into the true week, which was our order block. We find lower time frame and price get about 15 hours before the reversal, right? So that's how you can use inducement to your satisfaction, right? So these are buy and sell trade ideas on inducement and manipulations and how you can use them to your advantage, right? If you look at other levels right there, you should be able to pick some things up from these videos. If you have questions, I'm always here to answer your questions. Look at this right there, continuation trade. An example of this continuation trade, which was explained. Take a look at this continuation trade here and take a look at this trade right there. Now we understand that we want to look for sales when the market was very much bearish, right? We want to look for sales when the market is very much bearish. How do we get involved in sales here? Where's our recent sell level? We have this high. We have this high right there, and we have this low. This high actually created liquidity above and it was taken, right? So when we take that liquidity, we have this entry level that was taken as well, which is where a lot of traders would have been mistake. They would have wanted to get involved in trade right here. Right, there is another block right there that a lot of traders would have wanted to get involved. What happened? Price went bullish again and take them out. So if you want to get in this type of trade, this is your high right now. This particular high that you see right there, took liquidity and also change structure to the downside, and we created an inducement, right? So we created another inducement before our weak rejections on lower time frame, and this would have been your entry for continuations, just like we have explained, right? This would have been your entry, and your target would have been the low that was created in the continuation trade because you're in a bearish market, and you would have gotten in trade using this inducement. Other block you can see here as inducement to the week we have, or your newest order block that was formed before the reversal. I hope you've learned something from these videos. I can take one or two lessons from these videos. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, and share. I'm going to send you more content again as usual. Good luck. God bless you all. Peace out.